Today we're going to dive into everything about MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson. Hope you enjoy. Think back to who you were in 2012. Think about what you cared about back then. High school sports, getting your driver's license, going to parties, or just trying to figure out where you fit in the world. Now, imagine a 14-year-old kid in Greenville, North Carolina, who looked at all of that, the normal, predictable rhythm of American teenage life, and decided he wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. Instead, he chose a dark bedroom. He chose the harsh, unyielding blue light of a second-hand computer monitor. While his peers were out living their lives, Jimmy Donaldson sat hunched over a keyboard for 15 hours a day, staring not at a game, but into a digital abyss. You see, back then, the internet wasn't the multi-billion-dollar empire we know today. It was a digital Wild West, a chaotic playground where people posted blurry videos of their cats or random awkward skits. Nobody thought you could make a career out of it. It was a hobby, a distraction. But to Jimmy, it wasn't a playground at all. It was a locked vault containing a secret code, and he became utterly, dangerously obsessed with cracking it. He called himself MrBeast 6000, and for 5 long years he shouted into an absolute void. 500 views, 1,000 views. To 99% of human beings, that is a clear, definitive sign to pack up and quit. It's a dead end. But Jimmy didn't see failure. He saw insufficient data. Then came 2017, the year he decided that if the algorithm wouldn't notice him for his talent, he would force it to notice him through sheer, agonizing human will. He sat in front of a camera and decided to count to 100,000. No bathroom breaks, no sleeping, no stretching. Just 40 hours of a human being slowly breaking down his own mind on camera for the world to see. It was absurd. It was painful. It was borderline madness. But it was also the exact moment the Matrix broke. For the first time in his life, the world didn't just scroll past. They stopped, they stared, and they realized that this kid was willing to punish himself just to win their attention. That counting video wasn't just a viral fluke. It was a massive psychological breakthrough. Jimmy had discovered a fundamental truth about the human internet. People are inherently drawn to extreme, almost masochistic dedication. If you do something so incredibly difficult, so agonizingly tedious that no other person on earth would dare to attempt it, the digital world rewards you like royalty. Suddenly, the view counter wasn't just moving, it was spinning like a broken slot machine. Millions of people were rushing to see what this crazy kid from North Carolina would do next. And what did he do? He didn't take the money and buy a sports car. He didn't buy a mansion or expensive clothes. He took every single dollar he made and poured it straight back into the furnace of the machine. He turned his sleepy, forgotten hometown of Greenville into the undisputed Silicon Valley of digital entertainment. He brought his closest childhood friends into the fold. But this wasn't a group of teenagers hanging out and playing video games. This was a clinical war room. They spent 15 hours a day on Skype, analyzing every single frame of a video, calculating the exact millisecond a viewer clicked away, debating the precise shade of bright green that would increase a thumbnail's click-through rate by 2%. They were rocket engineers perfecting a psychological engine. Then came the ultimate gamble. Jimmy took his very first massive brand deal paycheck, $10,000, and instead of saving it, he walked out onto the street and handed it directly to a homeless man. It was a terrifying risk that defied all traditional business logic. If that video failed to get views, Jimmy was completely broke, back to absolute zero. But he understood something that the old suits and ties Hollywood executives still fail to grasp to this day. Genuine human emotion, amplified by life-changing wealth, is the most powerful narrative force on the planet. He wasn't just making videos anymore, he was playing with human reality. By 2021, the awkward teenager in the dark bedroom was officially gone. In his place stood a relentless CEO running an industrial empire of joy. The small warehouse was replaced by a massive multi-million-dollar studio complex that looked more like a top-secret military base than a production house. Hundreds of full-time employees, welders throwing sparks, engineers building massive hydraulic sets, production assistants barking into walkie-talkies. The stakes had transformed completely. We weren't talking about thousands of dollars anymore. We were talking about millions of dollars being burned through for a single 20-minute video. The pace was brutal, designed only for those who shared his manic obsession. Jimmy's brain simply never turned off. If a team spent 3 months building a flawless, life-size replica of a private island, Jimmy would look at it and immediately say, "Great! Now how do we blow it up in the first 3 minutes to keep the viewer from clicking away?" He had become the undisputed architect of a new global monoculture. When he released his real-life recreation of the Netflix phenomenon Squid Game, it didn't just trend, it shattered the very definition of media. It gathered more views in a single week than the actual multi-million-dollar Hollywood-backed series did in an entire month. Think about the gravity of that shift. A kid from North Carolina with a dedicated crew of friends had completely outperformed a global entertainment conglomerate at their own game. The student hadn't just passed the master, he had made the master look obsolete. But when you build a global empire on the foundation of being the nicest, most charitable guy on the internet, the target on your back grows to an astronomical size. The world absolutely loves to build heroes, but it loves tearing them down even more. As the scale grew, the music shifted and the shadows crept in. Mainstream media, jealous of his cultural dominance, began to weaponize cynicism. Critics started asking uncomfortable, heavy questions. Is it true altruism if it requires a thumbnail of you making a shocked cartoon face to fund a stranger's medical surgery? Is it charity, or is it just a new, hyper-aggressive form of philanthropic capitalism? The pressure within the walls of the Beast Empire became an absolute pressure cooker. Jimmy had essentially become a public utility, a private shadow government. He was curing blindness for thousands of people. He was digging freshwater wells across Africa. He was doing monumental, life-saving tasks that actual governments with billions of tax dollars were failing to achieve. But when a single private individual holds that much narrative power over human suffering, people naturally look for the cracks in the armor. Behind the scenes, away from the screaming fans and the flashing bright colors, the toll was human, and it was heavy. Jimmy wasn't living the life of a multimillionaire playboy. He was sleeping on a simple twin bed inside his studio office, living off fast food, driven by a ghost he could never quite catch. The boy who conquered the algorithm had become a prisoner to his own creation, carrying the livelihoods of hundreds of employees and the expectations of 100 million viewers on his tired shoulders. Every single video had to be bigger than the last. And when you're already at the top of the mountain, the only way to go bigger is to defy gravity itself. Yet, despite the noise, despite the critics waiting for him to stumble, Jimmy Donaldson didn't just survive. He redefined the gravity of the entire media landscape. He didn't just win the game of YouTube. He broke it entirely, pulled it apart piece by piece, and forced the rest of the entertainment world to play by his rules. He became an undisputed global phenomenon, a modern digital deity. When he stepped off planes in India or South America, tens of thousands of people screamed his name not like he was a web star, but like he was a prophet of a new age. He shattered records, surpassing corporate titans to become the most subscribed entity in human history. His legacy is no longer confined to a video player on your phone. It's in the grocery stores where kids line up for his chocolate bars. It's in the millions of trees planted across the earth. It's in a revolutionary, self-sustaining ecosystem where digital entertainment directly funds human survival. Traditional Hollywood is still sitting in their boardrooms, desperately trying to figure out how to save cable television and traditional cinemas, while Jimmy is already playing a game 10 years in the future on a completely different planet. In the end, if you peel away the millions of dollars, the massive explosions, the island giveaways, and the elaborate stunts, you are left with the exact same thing we started with in 2012. You are left with a lonely boy sitting in a dark room, staring at a blank screen. The secret formula was never about the math of the algorithm or the psychology of a thumbnail. It was about a kid who dared to ask a simple, terrifying question. How far can a human being actually go if they are willing to give up everything else in their life? And then, having the beautiful, terrifying madness to actually stand up, walk out into the world and find out. That's all from Mango. Thanks for watching.